Yeah. So.
Any bits? I got an idea for a bit.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all ears.
Okay, the bit is we stay in silence for a minute, and then we start talking.
You just hear the click click of our shoes on the tile.
Yeah.
For 3.5 hours.
Maybe the sound of like an elevator or something.
Oh man. Let's just get going and see what happens.
All right.
As you know, I always get messed up when it's 1v1 because I usually say, as you guys know, but there's just one of you, so that'd be weird.
You can still.
As you guys know, I don't know how to start the podcast. So it'll either be just talking about the movie and the many probably distasteful jokes that I have made to myself since watching it, or something along the lines of welcome to Late to the Movies. My name is Ben Holt. This is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Each week we'll pick a movie that either I or a guest hadn't seen before and really should have by now. So far in the month of January, we've done from the most recent, released in December 2022, Sight and Sound 100 Greatest Films of All Time list. We did, in order, I believe we went 3, 10, 2, 8, and now we're doing number 1, which is Jeanne Dielman, like 23, Quai de Commerce. I don't know how they say 1080. Brussels. Bruxelles. I don't want to make it sound like I'm like belittling or diminishing this movie. It's just kind of hard to figure out where to attack this from. A thing that I say a lot, and I feel like I've said a lot this month, but it's very true of this movie. Which, just get off right off the front before we even talk about other stuff. I liked this movie a lot, and
I did as well.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I don't know what I thought it was. I don't know what I thought of it. I'd seen memes, I guess.
I knew nothing about this movie beforehand.
Yeah.
Besides that, like, oh, I know, I heard it's slow and it's long.
Slow and long, and she peels potatoes for 10 minutes.
Yes.
And, you know.
Which I actually love that scene.
It's a good scene.
Yeah.
She overcooks the potatoes, and you're like, uh-oh, what's cooking with Jeanne?
But, like, I don't want to get too much into it now because, you know, it's still early in the podcast. We have to get to know each other first.
Yeah, right. My guests left to right across your podcast style this week. We got Vaz.
Hello.
And that's it this week. I didn't even ask that many other people because this was a labor of true movie nerddom to tackle number 1, the 3 hour 20 minute long,
3 hour and 21 minutes.
3 hour and 21 minute. The first movie by a woman, not even just at the number 1 spot, the first one in the top 10 of the Sight and Sound list, which started in 1952.
It's not, if you know Hollywood, it's not too surprising.
No, it's not. Apparently, I mean, I don't know them personally, but apparently the most diverse, what would you say, pundits, respondents to the poll ever. It was, I think, almost 1,700 people responded. More than, I think, double the last few combined. I think more voted this time than had the previous 60 years of polls put together. And so it's a more diverse panel of people that are responding to this poll. And so not that surprising you end up with a movie made by a woman at number 1, though kind of shocking to think it had never happened even in the top 10 before. Yeah, so see, there is a lot to talk about with this movie. Before we get into it, though, watched anything good recently?
Recently, good, or should I just say what I've seen recently? I did see A Man Called Otto, and I don't think I'm old enough to like the movie.
Oh no! You haven't aged into the Man Called Otto bracket?
No, I don't think so. It's not for me. The movie also doesn't want it to be for me because they do not like millennials in that movie.
They probably drive hybrids.
Oh yeah. And they're walking their dogs.
Just seen the trailer. These fucking millennials with their dog walking. No one had ever done that before us.
No. But it's, you know, I mean, I like Tom Hanks. Birbiglia is in there, so you got some
really?
money. Yeah.
They should put Birbiglia in the trailer.
I don't get me started.
Driving home super angry. Why wasn't he in the trailer? That doesn't appeal to me too much, but you're just a movie viewer, so you had to see it.
Yeah, I also just needed a movie to see this week, and It just worked out better to see A Man Called Otto this week and then Megan next week. So that's where I ended.
Oh, M3 again?
Yeah, M3 again. I'll be seeing that next week.
Yeah, I liked it. It's fun.
Yeah,
we've already talked about this, actually. Sorry. It's like, wait a minute. Deja vu.
Last thing I do want to say about A Man Called Otto is that Tom Hanks' other son, Truman Hanks, is in the movie, and he's not very good.
So how many sons does he have? I know there's Chet Hayes.
I think it's 3. Colin,
Chet
Truman,
Hayes.
and now Chet Hayes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's too bad that he's not good, but hey, it's the family business. So
yep, someone's got to keep
he's going to
to
get some jobs. I've been watching, like, I don't know. So gearing up for the movie we did last week, maybe my favorite movie that Greg did not like. That episode isn't out yet as we're recording.
It's Mulholland Drive, right?
Yeah, Mulholland Drive. Yeah, you pointed over at it. Good, great movie. So I kind of off of that. It was also David Lynch's birthday a couple days ago. So I've been watching Twin Peaks: The Return, season 3 of Twin Peaks. I think it has a few different names, but that has been really good. I haven't watched it before because I don't have Showtime, but I'm on a 7-day trial. And there's 18-hour-long episodes of it, so that I'm trying to get into these 7 days, but I'm not on the pace right now, so I got to pick it up.
I saw that back when it came out, and I'm really looking forward to rewatching the entire series. And then I don't need to wait 25 years to pick it up.
I was kind of in I've been in sort of a suspended watch through of, I did Twin Peaks, and then what always happens, I kind of, after they do the Who Killed Laura Palmer reveal, what, like 8 episodes into the second season?
I think it's 8, yeah.
Then I kind of fall off because it immediately goes off a cliff.
What are you talking about? How about when that girl ends up in the doorknob?
Oh, that's a bad way to go. And she stays in the doorknob, I guess. So yeah, I kind of fell off. Then I came back, finished it off. I was like, okay, great. Then I watched Fire Walk with Me, which I hadn't seen before. And it's like, yeah, this is awesome. And let's roll it into getting a Showtime 7-day trial. And that was like months ago, but now I'm picking it up. I'm considering it all one continuation of a watch through.
I mean, I do want to watch it all back to back or close enough to each other. Yeah. But I think having a gap between Fire Walk with Me and The Return does make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. I couldn't wait 25 years, but I wanted a little bit of time. It actually is probably more effective that way. Everyone looks so much older now. And then it actually would probably make most sense to transition directly into Jeanne Dielman because it's sort of instructive that I've been watching those kinds of Lynch things recently. And that has a lot of quiet and just sound happening. Yeah. Which has been like good training for watching Jeanne Dielman.
Yeah. And I feel, I don't know if David Lynch has seen this movie. I'm sure he has. Yeah. But I feel like it was a big influence on him. If it wasn't, then something else that he saw that influenced that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. It feels, they definitely felt like akin to each other. Obviously not like necessarily in the exact same milieu, but it is some overlap for sure. I did watch some other movies though, which are not related. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to not use that good transition. I watched a couple 2022 horror movies that I had missed. Well, actually, one I think is actually 2023. On Letterboxd, it's listed as 2022, but as far as I know, it just came out. It's called Sick.
I'm unfamiliar.
It just came out. It's on Peacock. So there's this thing where the last few months, it seems like people actually want to go to theaters again. A movie like Smile, a movie like Barbarian, movies that kind of came out of nowhere, but then like made a lot of money in theaters. Just this last weekend, Skinamarink by Kyle Edward Ball, a Canadian filmmaker that took a camcorder and made a movie in his house, I think for like $20,000 Canadian or like less than $50,000 Canadian. It made $1 million in limited release last weekend, and that's American dollars. So you'd think if you've got a new movie from the guy that wrote Scream, you'd probably want to put that in theaters. But they didn't. It's on Peacock. It's called Sick. It's from the guy that wrote Scream, Kevin Williamson, and it is a slasher movie with some like tropey funness about teens that are in a house trying to not get murdered by people with knives. It definitely would have made money in theaters, but now it's not going to make any money.
Well, Peacock, they love taking things and letting it die on their platform.
Yeah. You come for written by the guy that wrote Scream. I actually don't think the screenplay is that good. The directing's awesome. It's by something Hyams, John Hyams.
Oh, you're thinking of Hyam, the group, the three ladies.
The three ladies.
Yes.
The three music sisters. He directed Universal Soldier, I want to say. He's made like a bunch of like direct-to-video.
Michael B. Jordan movie, right? That Universal Soldier?
I haven't seen it. I don't know.
I don't know.
But it's stuff like that people are online are always like, this is actually really good. And it's all these sort of like pulpy home video action movies. And he directs the shit out of it. It really is for the most part, 2 and occasionally 3 like college age students that have gone to this cabin because it's 2020 and their college just shut down in the spring of 2020. So they've gone to quarantine at a cabin on a lake. I don't even think it tells you where it is. And then people break into their house and try and murder them with knives. That's the whole movie. And the kills and the sort of chases are all shot like someone who can really direct an action sequence. So yeah, it's not like that scary. There's no supernatural element to it. It's literally what I just described. If that sounds interesting to you, I don't know if I've done a great job selling it, but hey, neither did Peacock.
Yeah, I think you did just fine. I know more about it than I did 10 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you like Scream, you'd like this probably. It's not funny, but there is just like some fun with tropes.
Does anyone get sick in this movie?
Only in the sense that it's during COVID, so people are worried about getting COVID.
They're worried about getting sick, so no one particularly gets sick.
Yeah,
as far as we know.
I also watched Smile. I thought Sick was better. I didn't like Smile that much. I thought it was fine.
I saw your review on Letterboxd. I liked it more than you.
Okay.
I will admit, like, the ending is kind of. I was a little disappointed about that.
Yeah. And then what did I watch? Oh yeah, I watched All Quiet on the Western Front because it's getting
the Oscar buzz.
Yeah, it's getting kind of ridiculous amount of Oscar buzz. Have you seen it yet?
I have not. I saw the 1930 version of it. I'm sure I'm gonna have to watch it at some point because I'm sure this is Netflix's like, oh, we need a movie to be nominated.
So if you follow the horse race, Netflix just switched up what they were doing and put all of their eggs in the All Quiet on the Western Front basket pretty late in the game.
They were like, oh, we got to push Glass Onion. And then they were like, oh, no, it's a comedy. They're not going to push for this.
And then there was some attempt maybe to get Pinocchio into Best Picture, but it's hard with animation.
That's a tough one. They weren't going to do that.
It's not only as an animation, it's also very weird.
Yes.
I liked it a lot, but it's...
Same.
Yeah, it's weird. And yeah, so they put all their eggs in the All Quiet on the Western Front basket. So I haven't seen any of the other adaptations or read the book because I think there's a 70s one too. The big famous one from the 30s won Best like Picture, the third ever Best Picture, something like that.
No, third. Yeah, third.
Third. Okay, I knew you would know. And I'm not going to fact check that. I just trust you implicitly on that kind of thing. Apparently, this is a big change to the story, whereas the other adaptations were pretty faithfully adapted from the novel. This is by a German filmmaker for the first time, and is also sort of modernized in some ways to be more relevant to like our current moment, and adds some stuff and takes away some stuff, and I guess wholesale changes the ending, which purists, I didn't have this issue when I watched it because I didn't know that they were changing anything. People who really like the original story and think it's like a really important anti-war statement seem to not like it so much, but I mean, it's still very anti-war.
That's good.
It's brutal, so be ready for that.
I will be.
I haven't actually said. I liked it a lot. I thought it was really good. Netflix defaulted to an English dub. I would say throw that shit back on German, because if you're listening to the German one, it's what they actually recorded on set that day. If you're listening to the English dub, it's what they recorded in a sound booth after the fact. So it doesn't sound right to me because it doesn't sound like the voice is coming from the person And then obviously it also doesn't match the mouth.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it usually isn't. It's not, especially for live action stuff, the dubs just don't work for me at all. They're announcing the nominees already. When is this coming out?
This will be the week after it's been announced. So it's being announced in a few days on Tuesday.
On the 24th.
Yep. And this episode will be the last one of January.
Yeah.
So it'll be on the 30th.
So by then I will know whether or not I am watching this movie or not. Yeah,
that's what I've watched recently. So 20 minutes ago, I said it would have been a really good transition to talk about the sort of experimental mindset I've been in watching a lot of Lynch stuff, especially with the quiet spaces in between dialogues at times and the kind of paying attention to the synchronicities, I don't know, of a person's sort of like day-to-day thing, which is what happens in this movie. But we didn't take a chance and actually use that good transition, so I'll just say, you want to give us a 1-minute plot summary?
Yeah. I'll do that. All right. So can I start now?
You can start now.
It's Tuesday. Jeanne Garofalo is, she just had sex with some guy, and now she's going to make dinner for her son. That happens. Then it's Wednesday. She goes around town. She picks up some food. She cooks it or gets it ready. Yep. Then she cooks it, and then she had sex with another guy. She spoils her potatoes. She has to get new potatoes because she only had one potato left. Her son again, and then Thursday she kills the guy.
Yep.
End.
Fini. Yeah. So, I wonder if someone will pick up on the fact that I mentioned that this is the first movie that was directed by a woman to be in the top 10, and I didn't actually mention her name. And maybe that's a bit about me. Chantal Akerman makes this movie in the 1970s through a grant from the Belgian government. I wonder if they were happy with how it came out. It doesn't get that well received when it comes out, but then seems to pretty quickly gain a cult following. I always get really self-conscious about this, like, contextual details, because, like, I wasn't there. I wasn't born yet. I didn't live in Belgium ever, so I can't confirm or deny. But it seems to have got a cult following pretty quickly. It was on the last Sight and Sound poll at 39, I want to say, somewhere in the 30s, and then moved way up to number 1 this time.
Was the last one the first time it was ever on there?
I think so. Yeah. So last time it was behind where Portrait of a Lady on Fire is this time. So, that's your next number 1, probably. A movie I love and people made fun of because it was so high on the list. Felt bad for it. I knew like nothing about this movie going into it, but I was aware of the director, Chantal Akerman, the huge, like a big, I don't know what to say, a big deal feminist is what I started hearing myself say.
Big deal feminist.
A big deal feminist. She sort of rejected that this was a part of a feminist cinema because she just remarked that doesn't exist, which she's, well said. But that's sort of how this has been viewed as, through the lens of a sort of like, fairly radical feminist statement.
BDF. That's what I was trying to
think. Which is why I invited 0 women to be on this episode. I'm kidding. I invited other people to be on. No one else wanted to be on this episode. And it's not their fault.
Yeah, it's not a easy ask.
But I really liked this movie.
Same.
I found it like pretty enthralling, honestly, from the beginning. You're kind of into what this lady's doing. It's the reason being the stuff that Akerman's focusing on is stuff that I'm sure even more so at that point, but stuff that you never see in movies. It's all this other thing that she was trying to get at, this flipping of the hierarchy of images of normally you would see, like, she's not showing the sex, she's showing John folding laundry. So she's prioritizing all this stuff that would be super minimized in a normal, quote unquote, normal, non-experimental movie, where it's all the in-between stuff. It's just the day-to-day errands and chores that she has to do. And it's not, there's no car chases. There's nothing that normally gets highlighted in a movie.
Yeah, it's very mesmerizing.
Yes,
That's the word
I agree. Very much so.
And I when I was watching it, especially in the beginning, I was decently memorized, and I was thinking like
mesmerized,
whatever.
You're still mesmerized.
Whatever.
You can't say words, right?
I was thinking like, okay, if someone else was watching this, who isn't me or Ben, one of our friends or some other friends, where are they going to stop watching this?
It's tough. It's when the first time they hear like their kid get out of bed, they probably don't turn this back on when they go back to the TV. But I don't have kids.
My guess is that I don't think. Like if Sam or Bree watched this, I think they would have stopped when she was taking a bath. And they would just stop right there and be like, I don't want to watch anymore.
It's like minute 15.
I think so.
They still have over 3 hours left at that point.
And I think when I like started to like, oh man, I'm getting into this is when she takes out the tablecloths for the first time with the napkins. Because I was thinking like, man, like you got to do that. Like I don't think you need to for like you're just you. And then I found out she has a son.
Yeah,
The real.
By the way, son, weirdo. We'll get into Sylvain. I don't like his whole vibe. You shouldn't stab people, but I'm not saying it's his fault that she was pushed to that level, but he's not helping.
No, he's not. And I don't want to skip around too much, though. I feel
he's
like
literally not helping with anything.
He's not helping with anything. He's reading at the table. Even the next day, he's still reading at the table.
She
and
clearly
Jeanne
tells him every time.
Yes. And well, on Wednesday morning when he's leaving, she's like putting the jacket on him and like the scarf and is like, Sylvain, come on.
When we first see him, I'm like, oh, that's her. Like, she's widowed at that point.
Yes.
And I thought this is like, oh, the adult son's like coming home. Maybe it's like some special occasion.
I thought he was like in his 20s.
No, but I guess he's the equivalent of high school in 1970s Belgium.
I think he was 16 because he said he earlier when Janine's reading the note. I'm gonna say their name wrong every time.
Okay.
She says that our sister says that her husband's been dead for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sylvain later, before he went to sleep on Wednesday, he says that that the dad died when he was 10.
Okay, yeah. Yep. It's been 6 years. You're right. Yeah, totally correct. And just a disclaimer for the whole thing. We don't mean to mispronounce the names. We're not trying to be disrespectful. I just can't do it. I don't want to. I'm just going to butcher it every time. Yep. And I wish I wasn't. I did try not to, but it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard. We're Americans. We don't speak other languages.
It's also French, so I don't feel so bad about it.
Damn it. My disclaimer. Oh, no. People are going to think it's disingenuous now.
It's European. I'm Portuguese. I'm European. I can say it. But yeah, I do with the note that or the letter that
the only time it tells you what her name is.
Yes. I noticed that I felt like she was like reading that really quickly. As though she read it like a few times. Like she just read it like one day she just spent all day reading it.
I noticed that too. She wasn't stopping at the end of sentences. It was sort of just one run-on thing. Yeah, which I guess is, I don't know. I don't know quite what to make of that, but I did note it also.
Yes.
And I might say that about a lot of things in this movie. One of the things that happens early and is repeated throughout when it's dark and she's in the living room or I guess the sitting room. I don't know. Maybe that's what they call it. And there's like the blue flashing lights.
Yeah. The dining room, I think, because they do eat in there.
Right. Yeah, true. What are those?
I imagine they're probably just from the out. Like obviously there's windows there. Either cars or maybe like a building next door.
Yeah. I
liked it. It seemed,
it was great.
Yeah.
That was another thing. It's like, I'm not sure what I make of that, but I thought that was a cool touch.
So I didn't look into it. I imagine that this is just some apartment building. Like I don't think it was a set or anything, obviously, right?
I don't think so. They film it on location in Brussels, I believe. They do it with an all-female crew, which Akerman said was a mistake, not because they were women, but because she hired people just because they were women to be on her crew, and then that made it so like they didn't work together that well, I guess, and she thought the shooting didn't actually come out that well. To which I say, I don't know, maybe they fixed it a lot in post because I thought it looks pretty, pretty cool.
The creator's always going to be the harshest on their own
That's
work.
true. But look at that transition into the fact that this is all through like locked down static camera shots.
I love that. Like the whole fly on the wall thing, I think worked extremely well.
No close-ups in the whole movie.
Nope.
She's barely facing the camera.
Yeah.
And then when she is, it's like, whoa, a couple times. Like when you see her in the mirror right before she stabs the guy.
Yep.
Again, we're going to be spoiling this movie.
I also liked it anytime it was at the kitchen table. Yeah. And she was just, there, or she went to go like change the coffee or whatever. I was like those shots. I liked all the shots in this, honestly.
It was, yeah. So that's really maybe the biggest part of what was so, again, mesmerizing. I put hypnotic, same thing.
I like that more because I can probably say hypnotic.
Just say hypnotic. There you go. You can use that going forward. Is just, you just get into it, and not only is it activities that you don't ever see in movies, and especially probably never before or since to this extent and this in-depth into what she's doing day by day. But it also doesn't look like anything else, that it is just like you're sitting on the other side of like a two-way mirror looking in on this scene pretty much. Cool movie.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have the notes there. Who is the actress that played Jacquees?
Delphine Seyrig, I believe.
Delphine
Seyrig. I'm not sure.
I loved her performance in this. The subtlety that she does between like shots or it just in shots, it's just like really good. And what is it? I think it was on Thursday, the last day, where she is just in the sitting room next to the dining table, and she just sits there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it too. Like I get it.
Yeah.
I understand. Maybe, yeah. I understand. Maybe I can't completely sympathize. Maybe I haven't felt that on that level. I'm not her, but I can tell,
And like seeing her like go through her like routine, and like I think I'm not the first to notice this, obviously. What is it? After she had sex on Wednesday, like even when she like leaves the room, her bedroom, I've noticed that she was like walking with a bit of a slouch and her hair was a little messed up, and did point out the hair later.
Yep.
I felt like that's probably when she started to break.
Yeah.
And then everything just starts falling apart from there.
Pretty much, yeah. So what the movie does in these long, extremely long takes without any camera movements of just what she's doing is it's setting you up to understand the rhythms of what she's doing every day. So in day 2, and then especially in day 3, when things are off of that rhythm, when things aren't quite going the way they were before, it's like it really puts you off balance, because you're like, well, this isn't how this is going. And so it's reflecting her mind state as she's sort of unraveling, even without, I mean, she reads the letter. She says, don't read at the table. That's most of her dialogue in the whole 200 minutes of the movie. So
I imagine the script's very small.
I think it would have to be.
Yeah. A lot of actions.
But yeah, so this is the longest movie we've done on the podcast, I think.
You did Return of the King.
Yeah, I was going to say, does that tick up to 3.5 maybe?
Oh, it's the last time I watched it, it was the special edition. I mean, the extended edition. So it's hard to tell for me.
If we consider that at least one person on every episode had watched the extended edition for it, then those are all the longest movies. But aside from Lord of the Rings, this is the longest one that we have done, and longer than Avatar. I feel like I've been watching a lot of 3+ hour movies lately.
Well, last year was all 3+ hour movies.
Yeah.
Or close to.
For the podcast, this and then last month was all the Lord of the Rings movies. And Babylon, Avatar.
Tar's close.
Tar is like 240.
Yeah. That's a bit of a break. Same with the Fabelmans.
Yeah, I was going to say Fabelmans is way up there too. RRR is over 3.
Yep.
So yeah, those just, movies are long. A bunch of those could get into Best Picture. Then
I'm sure
I feel bad for my friends who have to wait till their kids go to bed at like 8 p.m. to watch these movies.
And then go to sleep at 11.
Right, yeah. I guess that's what they're just going to have to push through. Never stop the movie. Just keep going. All that to say, we said with Babylon, you don't really feel the 3 hours. I felt it with this one, but it was still like, it felt kind of, I don't know. You get on the tempo of what this is doing.
Well, I mean, it does feel like 3 hours, but it's all intentional. Like it's
I don't think that's a weakness of the movie. I think that's, like you said, very intentional.
Because it's boring. Like this movie is boring, but it's supposed to be boring because it's supposed to get you into the mindset of what she's doing every day.
Yes. Of someone who is about to crack from this repetition.
Very much like Michael Douglas in Breaking Point. Is that the movie?
Yeah. This Jeanne reaches her breaking point.
Yeah. But like, I don't know about you, but like after this, I did my laundry and I cooked, and it felt very strange doing that.
You didn't see any men, did you, after that? Because with scissors.
No, I got a haircut, and it was done by women. So I was. Right. They did have the scissors there, so it was very dicey.
Very triggering.
I was very worried. If I saw a man, I was gonna grab him.
Yeah.
But I luckily did not. I don't see any scissors here now. So you're. Oh wait, no, I do.
Shit! Look out. Yeah.
One of us is gonna go for it.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, we'll wait to the end of the podcast, and then we'll grab this. One of us will grab the scissors and stab the other.
And there's a mirror right there.
So no.
It's all the elements.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, save for a few important details, I suppose.
No, it's about the same.
Oh, okay.
We're doing Jeanne Quadi stuff now.
Yeah, exactly. It's just her address, right? It's the
because you see the 23 on the building like plenty of times. 23
Quai du Commerce. Yeah, that's
I don't know if we ever see the street sign for it.
Yeah.
In one of the wide shots. I'm also happy. So in the beginning, when she's reading the letter from her sister, she mentions like she gets a package from her. And I was like, oh man, I really hope we find out what that package is. We do on the last day, which turns out to just be a night dress.
Yeah.
And I think she's just very disappointed by it.
Yeah, she kind of has like, oh, well, kind of face on looking at it.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, it's nice looking.
Yeah, she sees that, and then she goes on the button hunt, or is that afterwards?
I think she came back from the button hunt.
Yeah, that last day, and that was the kind of thing where there's so much that happens in this movie without much happening, but you're seeing like slight variations on the same things. I don't know if we've said this. It's broken into these 3 days. I know you did. You said Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But it is a very definite endpoint of each day where there's like a Majora's Mask end of the second day title card that comes up. And it says, end of the first day, end of the second day. And then you get into it. So that is the third day where she leaves the apartment like so many times for different things. Yeah. I found was like really kind of like, what is going on? I think either on the first day or day two, you see that she's got like a system where she's knocking all of her chores out and she's knocking all the errands that she has to leave the apartment for out. And then, on the third day, she leaves to get some stuff and
she comes back.
I think she gets there before some stores are open.
Yeah, I think so. I think she left too early.
Yeah.
And then is it when she gets back, does she like start cleaning a bit and then she just sits around for a while?
Yes. I think that's where, is that where she just like kind of sits in the room and just sort of looks into the distance for like 5 minutes straight?
I think so, yeah.
And then that's the time when she gets the baby that she's just kind of like fucking with it.
I think so. When she gets she also gets the baby on Wednesday.
Yes.
And I do love, it's a little joke for me. On Wednesday when she gets the baby, she puts it on the dining table and then she goes to like back to the kitchen and then she's like cooking and then she's like, I gotta check on the baby. She goes back to the dining table and she like looks and she leaves. And I thought it was just very funny. Like, yep, baby check.
Yep. However, but on the third day, she won't leave that baby alone.
No. I think she was just doing that because I imagine she just wanted something to break the monotony. Yeah. Of like, let me interact with this baby. Let me try. I feel like she feels so empty then.
Yeah.
And she's trying to find something to fill the hole.
I don't know if it was the live sound or maybe they put it in post or whatever, But it is perfectly like, if she's not touching the baby's fine.
Yeah.
The second she picks it up, it's the worst sound a baby has ever made on film. And then she's just like, why? And she's not quite shaking it to like a call the police extent, but it's not what you'd want someone else to do to your baby.
No.
Certainly. But yeah.
But
she doesn't get what she needs from that baby.
No. I not to skip around again and go right to the ending, but after she kills her suitor, and she just sitting at the dining
mustache on that dude.
Yeah,
Don't care for it.
That's probably why he died.
Yeah, that's probably.
We can look into that
more.
The
cardinal sin of having a real janky mustache.
She saw it in the reflection. It was like, I can't do it.
Yeah, fair enough.
But after she kills him and she's at the dining room table and she has like blood on her hand and some on her shirt.
Yeah, those blue lights are flickering again.
Yep.
Flickering again.
And she just seems like just still dead, like empty. Like, I thought that was gonna do it. I thought that was gonna finally like wake me up.
No, it's just nothing.
Yeah,
it's just nothing. It's hollow, kind of.
Very haunting.
Very haunting. You see, she's just kind of like, she's just not present, really. And yeah, the way she kills the guy is like so matter of fact, where she's at the thing, she walks behind, and she's out of frame for a second, like, oh, what's going to happen? Because at first I'm like, it's annoying that this guy's not leaving, that he's like getting comfortable.
It looked like he was like, I did pretty good. I think I really nailed this. Fuck.
Yeah.
Can I swear?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Fuck.
Yeah. Greg swears all the time.
Oh, good. Good for Greg. I'm glad for him.
Yeah. I'm gonna out him as a terrible swearer because he said that the Vertigo episode's his least favorite so far. Which, like, I've said time and again, like, constructive feedback is good. But just saying it's his least favorite, which he then said it's hard to follow because he hasn't watched the movie, which I think is actually very fair.
I'm also on that one, so I don't blame him.
Yeah. I think that's fair. If you haven't watched that movie, it's hard to follow. Whereas with this movie, I think
super easy to follow.
We've told you what happens in the movie entirely.
Yeah. I mean, I did skip a few big points. Like,
she goes to a cafe a couple times.
Yeah, she does. She does not get her seat on Thursday, though.
That's the problem too. Yeah,
yep.
There's all these little things that, like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, but I feel like for a lot of people, if they reach some kind of breaking point, maybe it's not as extreme as Jeanne's, but I really hope that's how you pronounce her name because I've gone all in on that pronunciation.
Jeanne.
I feel like for a lot of people, it is sort of this accumulation of just like, I didn't get my favorite seat. There's some old lady there. I can't find a button to match my son's jacket.
I dropped the brush to clean my
she dropped
shoes.
The brush. The potatoes were overdone.
I had to go out and get more potatoes.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where it's like, I tried to go to the store, wasn't open yet. Those things that, like, really, that's what I think really pisses most people off, are just those tiny, like, quotidian dilemmas that don't, in the grand scheme of things, if you took a big step back, you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to remember that in a week, never mind in 10 years. But in the moment, those are the things that, like, really get under your skin, I think. I feel like it does a good job of that. And it's still pretty surprising when she does a murder, I would say.
No, I wasn't expecting it. Did you know that was going to happen?
No,
okay.
I didn't. I knew we were coming in for a landing because, like, I was watching this, like I told you, I started at 11 and I still had to stop a couple times. And there was one time where I was like, I know I just closed my eyes for a bit. It can't have been more than like 45 seconds. I'm going to go back. It was over 20 minutes before I had to go back before I recognized a thing that I had seen before. And I was like, oh no. So that's my fault. That's not the movie's fault. That was happening at like 2:30 a.m.
Well, it's not a great time to watch this movie.
No, it's not a great time to watch the movie. I turned all the lights off because then the contrast is better on the TV. But the effect was there's no dialogue and it's just silence. And I closed my eyes and I woke up 20 minutes later.
When I was talking to Sam about this, and I was like, this is like a 3.5 hour French film, and he was like, ugh, subtitles. Apparently, he doesn't have to worry about the subtitles.
Doesn't have to worry about the subtitles.
No. They barely
should get
come.
over subtitles. Maybe
we can talk to him later about that.
Yeah, I'm sure he has his reasons. I think that there is Not a lot of movies like this that I've seen.
No. Maybe The Brown Bunny, but I didn't watch that.
Oh God, yeah, I haven't seen that. Geez, I don't know.
All right, I do want to talk about a few things.
Okay.
First,
we're at like 50 minutes. I think we've only talked about the movie for about 20 of them.
Probably. Who knows? Who knows what time is anymore?
I've been bad at telling time lately, ever since Jeanne.
When Sylvain, the bed that Sylvain sleeps on, is that on that futon? I really like that futon. I love the design of it. I don't know how comfortable it is. It doesn't that look super comfortable.
Yeah. I guess it's not like a Murphy bed because it folds in kind of and back. So.
If like the inside comes up and like the arms of the futon is like at the end.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a good. I did like that.
It's a good futon that I wish the design stick around.
Yeah. He's got kind of like the precocious child asking questions he shouldn't be to his parents thing that you find in...
Very comfortable asking about sex.
Right, yeah. That's, I thought was just like, people always say like, oh, precocious kids in Wes Anderson movies that are like speaking like adults and it's weird. Except with Sylvain, he looks like an adult, but he's talking like a kid that is talking like an adult that shouldn't be. Even though he looks to be an adult man.
And his friend Yen, it's telling him about like, having sex with a lady is like thrusting a sword into her. The longer, the better.
Yeah, and his mom's just sitting there like, all right, go to bed, Sylvain.
So I think it was on the second day where Sylvain says, if I was a woman, I would only have sex for love.
And she's like, you don't get it, Sylvain.
Yeah, you're not a woman, so how would you know?
Right, yeah. How would you know? I did write that down. I thought that was probably important to, how would you know you're not a woman, is what she tells him.
Yeah, I feel like that may have led to her, not exactly breaking, but I don't know. She has a shitty kid, so...
How would you know you're not a woman? End of the first day is what I have written. And then for the last one.
First day, okay.
And then Sylvain is weird about sex. End of the second day is in my notes. Yeah. I guess he multiple times that he talks to his mom about sex, back-to-back days. So she's just got to be like, I got to get back to these potatoes. Sylvain's duller.
She does a great job with peeling those potatoes. We only see 2 of them, though, that she actually peels.
Yeah. That was the thing when this movie was... So anytime... And we can talk a little bit about the poll itself and just really list making in general. Anytime a thing is like the new #1 of all time in something, even if it's just like a listicle of like the top 20 Nicktoons from the 90s, only 90s kids know. Whatever's #1 is going to get a lot of flack and hate and a lot of scrutiny online. And for it to be such an idiosyncratic film that isn't what people think of when they think of the canon, they do think of Vertigo.
Yeah.
And they think of Citizen Kane and Singing in the Rain.
Bicycle Thief.
Yeah, Bicycle Thieves. The most sad I've ever been watching a movie was Bicycle Thieves. And they don't think of this. And so when this was, I guess, christened, whatever, the new #1, it was coming under a lot of scrutiny. And so going into it, a lot of what I knew was people being like, oh my God, there's a scene where she peels potatoes for 10 minutes. It's not that long.
No, it's not.
And there's reasons to it. It's not random.
Yeah.
There's like very specific reasons, and it all sort of works in this symphony, and it doesn't matter that it's that long. That's part of it. And
it's supposed to be
it's an
that
epic.
Long. Yeah.
It takes place mostly in a small apartment building, but it feels like an epic.
Even though it's in the small apartment building, and it's supposed like how small it feels is you get that from like watching it.
Yeah.
Because it like the shots, like I don't even like they're not even trying with like the shots to make it look small. It just is small. Right, and you see how small she is in that.
Right, yeah.
And how lonely she is.
She's very isolated. And again, like we said, it's these lockdown camera angles. She's never in close up. So even with how tight and cramped everything can feel, she still, like you said, looks small inside it. And I definitely, this is have a lot to do with the movie, but their appliances are so small.
Yeah, I was thinking
like
you can't even fit grinder. That was nice.
That was nice. You can't even fit a pan in that oven.
No,
tiny oven. But it's okay. They only make liquid food anyway.
Yeah, that's true. And just potatoes.
Just potatoes.
Yeah. So back to the sight and sound list. I am. I'm very happy that a movie like this is number one.
I think it's cool. Now that I'm saying, like, yeah, hell yeah, why not?
This is actually a way for people to watch this movie, or at least get it on the radar. I'm curious to see what it's going to be in like 10 years from now, the Sight and Sound list. I don't know if this will stick around because, I mean, 2012 was like the first big change when Vertigo got number one, and now we got another one. Yeah. I also feel like the pandemic probably helped out a lot with this movie too.
Yeah, it feels timely because it's, even when she's out on the streets, it's pretty bare. Yeah, it's all these like kind of notably sort of empty streets, which now that I hadn't even thought of that angle, but yeah, it feels like quarantine, I think. I mentioned kind of flippantly earlier, but I do think it's, I don't know if it's just being sensitive to sound or because this was the only thing keeping me from falling asleep, but the clacking of her heels really, I don't know. It's kind of unnerving, maybe, but it's really dominates the soundscape of this movie for so much of it. And you just think about, like, I don't know, she's wearing heels the whole movie.
I understand that, especially consider like she doesn't need to wear heels because she's in her own home.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to wear shoes at all over there. But she does all the time, and like I feel like it's just like she just got into this motion of this.
Yeah.
I wear shoes here. And she just doesn't break it. Yeah. And I think it just plays into that.
This is the routine. Yeah. These are the motions that you just do.
I need to wear these clothes because I need to wear clothes at home.
Yeah. Yeah. You just do it by just very sort of like she's not there. I guess that's the whole thing, right? She's not actively engaged in anything that she's doing mentally, seemingly.
I mean, she barely even wrote that letter.
That's true. Yeah. Very busy. She's got a lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff to get through every day.
Yeah.
I did write that sometime on the second day. I was like, Jeanne's busy. Keeps herself occupied. Doesn't really stop. So when she does stop, it's on the third day where she just sits there for a while. It is really haunting.
It feels like she just broke. Like she's just
yeah. No, you're totally right. That's what it feels like. She's been basically a machine the whole time, and even the sex that they don't show until the last time is just part of that rhythm that she's built up. It's like whatever task she's doing, she just puts down when the John gets there, and then goes back to it afterwards. No comment on it. Just keep going. Just keep moving.
So, talking about the sex scene, the only one in the movie, what I think that's like the most emotion I like see on her face is when, she's just getting plowed.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That's the the tactful way to put it.
Yeah. And like, I'm still trying to like figure out like, what was not what was going on. I obviously know what's going on, but like, is she just like realized she's just like so unsatisfied with like even sex that doesn't even mean anything to her?
Maybe it seems like kind of, I don't know how to read that.
Grant, I don't know if she's been like having sex for money for like 6 years, or if like immediately after her husband died. Though I don't even think she even cared too much about her husband. She said that he was just an ugly guy that she just met.
Well, Sylvain said he was ugly, right? And then she's kind of like, he wasn't really that ugly.
Yeah, she defended him.
Yeah, she defended him. Yeah, well, I think she's just like talking about how other people are like, you should get another husband. You should like do that. And she's kind of like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
this is life now, and whatever. Just going with it. It's kind of what the vibe I was getting from her. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know. But yeah.
You think she was jealous of her sister?
Who wouldn't be? She gets to live in Canada.
Yeah, and she has this, like, that cool John husband.
Yeah. Probably a little bit, right? Because she's like sort of reflecting on her deeply dissatisfying life. That's not a word. Deeply unsatisfying life that she is dissatisfied with. See, I know grammar sometimes. And hearing about all these nice things, and she's like, oh, you want to go to Canada, Sylvain? He's kind of like, I'm stupid. I don't do things ever.
And then she just get that lame gift of a nightgown from her sister. I think she was probably just expecting more because like her sister seems to be living it up.
She's doing, does it say where in Canada she is?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think it does either.
The French part.
Fair guess. So they're somewhere in Quebec, living it up, eating beavers. They do that in Quebec. You can look it up. They hunt beavers for meat.
Who are they? Me and Assassin's Creed 3? Killing beavers wherever you go?
Well, you need to make a hat or something. I need to up my storage capacity on my hidden knives.
Yeah, and then after that, I just sell them all.
You get like the Red Dead Redemption, how it has a trophy for killing all the buffalo called Manifest Destiny. You get the same thing, but whatever the equivalent for beavers is. Well, we're not on topic.
No, we can get back. French. Jeanne Dielman.
Yeah, Jeanne Dielman. I don't know, dude. It's a good movie though. So that's
your
to render my verdicts is this 1,700 critics from across the world got together and decided that this was the best movie ever made. But does it suck? No, I think it's pretty good.
I think it's pretty good too. I did remember another big thing that happens in this movie.
Yeah.
When Sylvain is trying to learn from like some poem or whatever, and he like recites it twice. I feel like that's a little, I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be like to the film of like losing everything and then trying to like regain it or in some way. It
was a good poem too, right? It was Baudelaire, I think.
Charles Baudelaire. I remember the Charles part.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was a Baudelaire poem about being in a storm or something. I was really tired at this point.
That was at the beginning.
Yeah, I was tired at that point too. So with the poll, I should mention again, we said this on other episodes, but I can't really expect that everyone's listened to all of them. One of the things that really stands out to me about this being number one is the way the voting actually happens is that there's 1,700 people that vote on it, but it's not like a debate and they don't pick. They all vote for their 10 favorite movies, basically. They submit a list of 10. And so for something to actually get pretty high up here, it has to appear in the top 10 for a lot of people. Even though it is the top 100 movies that the poll actually eventually is like titled as, it's sort of like a fluke that some things can end up that high or that low. And that's why for a lot of directors, they don't have multiple things on it, which I think makes sense to me. Like if you only have 10 picks, you're not going to put on 3 movies by one guy unless you're John Carpenter, who I think put on 4 John Hawkes movies.
He likes what he likes.
He loves, and I like him. There's 4 John Carpenter movies. Yeah. So all that to say, it is a little surprising to me that so many had this in their top 10, that it could gain that number 1 spot from Vertigo, bump down Vertigo and Citizen Kane.
Both holding strong too at 2 and 3.
Yeah. So it's that's the thing too, with so much upheaval that they're still in the top 3 is kind of, I don't know if surprising is the right word, but it's just sort of as someone who really likes the intricacies and weird quirks of polling and voting, that stood out to me. I don't know. But now that I've seen it, I get it, and I understand in the historical context why this would mean a lot to people, and then also just stylistically why it would mean a lot to. We mentioned David Lynch before, but I'm sure it's probably goes without saying that a lot of women have gotten a lot out of this movie too.
Lady Bird, I saw like a lot of influence from that in this.
Sure, yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of others. Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Another movie with a lot of quiet space in it and some isolation and just kind of staying in one house. But a seaside like
and The Quiet Place Part 2, both big influenced by this. Any movie with silence in it. Silence from Martin
Scorsese. Nosferatu.
Yep.
No dialogue at all in that one.
Most Charlie Chaplin films.
Yeah, most. That was the heightening of whatever movie they're making before the sound is invented in the beginning of Babylon.
Yep. The artist.
Yeah, the artist. If it wasn't for that dog. We enjoyed this tangent. I had a good time. I don't want to sell the movie short, it being the number one of all time, but not that there's not a lot to say, but it's not like we're breaking down the blocking and camera movements in an action sequence.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've hit a lot of the big things without being scholars, without looking into it. The podcast focuses on movies that we haven't seen before and our reactions the first time we watched it. So wink, wink. That's why I don't do that much research, or maybe that's just my excuse. I don't know, because I want to focus on our experience watching it, and it is a pretty total experience. I don't know if you have. I felt full.
Yes, I did, and like I am much happier that I watched this movie.
Yeah,
and I look forward.
And now we don't have to again.
No, I'm kidding. I look forward to rewatching it.
No, I do too.
In like 5 years from now.
Not immediately.
No. I don't think this is a movie I can be like, oh man, that was great. Let me watch the DVD commentary for it.
I'll rewatch it though.
Oh no, I'm definitely going to rewatch it.
I'm curious. It has a Criterion edition. I wonder if there's commentary on it.
I really hope there is.
Yeah, I'll look into that. But yeah, the actual experience watching it, I don't know if you have anything else to say on that.
No, I think I'm tapped out. I feel it is a little disrespectful that we're not talking more about the movie, and it's not like this is not a easy movie to sell on someone. Most people will not want to watch this. They'll stop watching after like the first 10 minutes. But like for like someone like me or you who watches so many movies, and
I would have been watching a movie anyway.
Yeah, and I was planning on watching this on my own anyway at some point.
Right,
I didn't need to watch it for the podcast.
Yeah, it being the number one, there's enough people watching it that. The Tobias from Arrested Development meme, gif, whatever you want to say of him saying there's dozens of us, dozens. There will be dozens of people that listen to this episode, dozens, I'm sure. Maybe we'll tap out at 12, but hey, that's okay.
Yeah. If we get to 12, I think that's a big break.
I think it'll be good. Not to diminish the podcast, much more than 12 usually listen, but for this episode, this one's for the real heads.
Yeah.
Next month is James Cameron. We're doing Aliens next. Maybe the next episode will be Terminator. Maybe it'll be Aliens. I'm not sure.
That was a bad clap.
The mic weirdly didn't pick it up. There you go. That had more force to it. Any other like thoughts we want to give on this film before we get into ratings?
Oh, watch it. Just give if you
give
have
yourself over to it.
If you have any like ambition to see this at all, watch it in the morning, like on a weekend that you have 3 hours.
Yeah.
It is the best time to watch it. And just give it a shot. Like at least give it an hour. How about that?
Yeah.
If you're not like hypnotized after an hour, you can turn it off.
I don't know if it gets necessarily better as it goes, because I don't think there's like a quality thing.
No,
but I think
a quality thing.
I think it gets more interesting as it goes, as you're seeing the things that it's repeating and how they're changing.
I just think this is a movie that requires your time and patience. And you have to be an active watcher. You have to be an engaged viewer of this, I'd say. Yeah.
Not to make it sound too pretentious, I don't think it was like a difficult watch, but you just have to be on.
No, for me, it's not a difficult watch, but I can tell for like other people, it's just not going to be something they can get into.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because like plot wise, like plot what?
Yeah, there's not a lot of plot. When I had to do the 1 minute plot summary, it really could have gone one of two ways. You describe everything that happens, or you just be like, 3 days in the life of a lady, kills a guy at the end. And that's the reductive way to watch it. But it is, at the time, some of the reaction was that it was like, radically minimalist to the point of almost self-parody. But I don't know that I would agree with that at all. I think it's pretty powerful.
I agree. And
that seems like, I don't know. I always feel like I'm, sound like a jackass saying stuff like that. But I think it was. I don't know. It worked on me.
For all like the Citizen Kane and Vertigo, and now this, like the number one movies where people are like, this is the best movie of all time. I feel like this is the one where people are going to be like, oh, movies.
Right, yeah. When people make fun of, like, you know, this is an original thought, but people say on TikTok or whatever, when they're making fun of film bros, like, oh, it's a black and white 4-hour long movie about a Russian civil war from the point of view of a seagull. And like, yeah, this is kind of that.
Yeah.
So I just think that it's, you probably have the same experience as just watching a lot of things. This is maybe why I didn't vibe with Smile so much, is like, it felt like, I just heard people saying trauma a lot, and I was thinking of Jamie Lee Curtis and the way a lot of like quote unquote elevated horror is doing it now. To circle back real quick, I thought the creature design before it goes full CGI on the final thing, fucking great.
Yes,
Smile.
I agree.
Thought it was really good, really cool. When it's just like the tall guy and he's got like the blacked out lips, that shit's great. I just want to see something new. I just want to see something fresh that I haven't seen before. Ain't nothing feel like this. This is one of one. Sui generis. This movie is.
Jeanne Dielman or
yeah,
Smile?
Jeanne Dielman. Yeah, Jeanne Dielman.
Jeanne Diamond.
Yeah, I wish I knew how to say it right. I'm really not trying to make fun of Chantal Akerman. That might not even be how she pronounces her name, and I'm sorry.
I'm not trying to make fun of it, but it is fun to just mispronounce it.
Okay, point being, yeah, this doesn't feel like anything else. It's worth watching from that alone. If you watch a lot of movies like we do, you want to see something you haven't seen before. This is its own thing. And a lot of, we were saying, like, you know, vibes, the sort of space in it. And any serious critic will tell you that vibes are an important rubric to grade a movie on. It's a very technical term. Vibes is, you know, people have taken pieces of this for their own thing, but I don't think anyone has had the fucking balls to hold on someone just sitting in a chair for 5 minutes.
This is bold filmmaking.
Yeah.
Fuck you, James Cameron.
It's bold as hell.
I don't care how much you're drowning your actors. Make them sit in a chair for 20 minutes.
It's crazy. You get to the end of this movie and you're like, that was rad. Like, literally, that was radical. I can't believe someone made that movie and put it out. 2 people to watch, and they, like, knowing that they were going to react to it, and
and then
could totally reject it.
And then, like, people, like, it comes out and, like, people are like, whatever. And then, like, 50 years later, like, hey, you know what?
This is the best movie ever made. It doesn't seem like she was maybe the kind of person who would care about that kind of accolade. She died
from watching this movie, I don't think so.
I don't think so. On Letterboxd every week, I will upload our scores and our overall rating. Sometimes that backfires. Sometimes we'll do my favorite movie and someone will give it a 2.5. And thus it'll end up with, I think, the same score as draft day. So look forward to the Mulholland Drive episode.
Yeah, no, I'm expecting it.
Every week on Letterboxd, I'll put on our scores. That is late to the movies on Letterboxd. It's with the number 2. You can find it. And on a scale of 0.5 to 5 on any scale of your choosing, I guess you could do a 0. I could factor in a 0. It's just easier to not. On any scale you're choosing, what would you give Jeanne Dielman?
I would give it 4.5 Joanna Man doucheman out of 5.
Yeah. Well, now I don't know what to think. It's potatoes, right? 4.5 potatoes out of 5.
Yeah, that's good.
4.5 undercooked potatoes out of 5.
That is better because that actually happens.
Because that actually happens. Oh, man. Yeah, this movie rocks. Check it out.
Yeah, please go. Well, if anything, give it a shot.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. I do also want to say that I'm sure on my next playthrough, I might give it a 5.
I think so too. It's a lot to take in, and you just watched it earlier today.
Yes, and
I, in a literal sense, did too. Though I've slept since then.
Yes, and I just feel like now that I know what's coming, I feel like on a second playthrough, I will be able to watch out for things more and like understand it a bit more too.
You won't be occupied with processing, okay, why is this the way it is? You can just sort of live in the, what you find appealing about the way it is, I hope that doesn't sound too pretentious.
No, it does.
I'm trying to convey.
We cannot get talking about this movie. We're not going to not sound pretentious.
Yeah, if you've already listened to over an hour of us talking about this movie, you're on board with whatever we got to say. We could just do the rest in French, and you'd be like, "Oh, oui, oui."
They do say "oui, oui."
Yeah, nailed it. I got that one. All right. Well, that just about does it. You can find us on, again, that letterbox, Late to the Movies. Same with our Gmail, latetothemovies@gmail.com. The Instagram, Late to the Movies _podcast. All of those with the number 2, not T-O. See, you try and put the T-O in there. That's someone else. You're not going to like them. You can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iTunes, Google Podcast, Podbeans, and I feel like there was a big one of it. Spotify. I don't know if I said. I think I did.
Podbeans, Google.
Yeah.
iTunes.
I got them all. And that just about does it for us. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me.
This was a real time commitment, so I appreciate it.
No problem. I was going to do it anyway.
All right, and I mean, there's no dialogue at the end. Just imagine that we're covered in blood and sitting at our kitchen table.
We'll just be silent for a while and they'll get that.
Yeah. Well, this is the end of the podcast, so feel free to not play anything else for about 5 minutes and picture us sitting and covered in blood. Thanks.